Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today we are talking about Bakemonogatari for this week's choice.
Yeah. So happy someone decided to recommend this.
You don't sound thrilled at all, in all honesty, Rick. I'm going to throw that out there. You do not sound thrilled at all.
You know, it's I'll be honest with you. It's because I'm not. It's because I'm not. So.
Well, thank you, Rat Baby, for the recommendation of this. It was definitely an adventure, to say the least. I will say that right now.
Yeah.
It was 15 episodes long. It was unique in that it took place from July 2009 all the way through June 2015 for the run. Producer for it was Aniplex, studio of Shaft. It's actually based off of a light novel. And the genres for it are romance, supernatural, mystery, and vampire.
Yeah, it was. Now, just curious, do you think it's part of a bigger series?
Oh, it most definitely is. In actuality, it is part of a much bigger series that actually spans and has a pretty unique, I want to say really unique setup for it.
Okay. We might have to explore that at a later time because while it confused me so very, very much,
Yeah,
it was not a bad storyline.
No, it wasn't a bad storyline. It just, I mean, how it's actually laid out and how it actually really leads you into it, it just really throws you off. One of the things that really threw me off and something I really honestly didn't like at all was the fact that for a majority of it, it had words, sentences flashing on the screen, sometimes for a half a second. And you don't even have time to finish reading a line by the time it actually flips to the next one. I don't know about you, but after the first one, I actually gave up. I stopped.
I was really hoping you didn't, because I did. I did. Because I hit pause and I read everything and I hit play, and by the time my finger was able to hit play and pause again, I had skipped 2 frames of extra verbiage, extra words. And most of the time it would tell, like, it was weird. It would tell you what font, what style, it would just basically describe what it was. Now, I watched it in 2 different mediums. You watched it completely on Funimation, correct?
Yeah, I watched it completely on Funimation.
I didn't. I watched it on VRV because I didn't realize it was on Funimation. And we actually had a kind of an issue. We were supposed to record yesterday, but on the platform I watched it on, only had 12 episodes. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Maybe they stopped halfway through. And when I said in the last episode we talked about that this had 15 episodes, I thought, well, maybe it's 12 because that makes sense, with some OVAs we didn't know about.
Yeah.
And you corrected me.
So if you want to get really confused as to how they decided to do the series, we technically didn't even finish watching the first season.
Really?
Yeah. So how first season's actually, at least to my understanding from what I've read, first season's broken out into 3 different sections. You have Bakemonogatari, which is 15 episodes, and then you have 11 episodes, which is Nisei, and then you have Neko Black for 4. So the first season's actually 30 episodes, so you have 15, 11, and 4 for the first season. It's the first arc.
That makes so much sense.
Hang on. It gets more complicated. Second season's only 28 episodes, but it's Neko Monogatari White, it's 5 episodes. Then you have Kabuki, 4 episodes. Otori, 4 episodes. Oni, 4 episodes. Koi, 6 episodes. Hana, 5 episodes. I'm not saying the last half of the name because it's all Monogatari. Okay, all of them
Yeah.
are. Okay, and then hang on. You have a final season, which is 42 episodes long. And it's
jeez.
Suki, Owari. So Suki's 4 episodes, Owari's 13, Koyo, 12 episodes, Owari again, but 7 episodes. And then you have Zuko Owari, which is 6 episodes for it. So you have a first season, 30 episodes broken out into basically 3 different ones. And then you have a second season that's broken out with 6, with the final season broken out into 5.
So I retract my last statement of maybe doing the next few seasons, the next series. So when I was looking at this originally, I did notice that, and I noticed that there was a bunch of different titles that were very similar, at least in spelling. But I was like, okay, maybe this is just a common name for a series, or a common prefix or suffix.
You would think, but from what I can gather,
They're all part of the same.
yeah, but all part of the same. It's just you have to watch them in a specific order. Obviously, this is a little too much. We're not going to focus on this for the next
No.
couple of months on that.
Yeah.
That's a little too much. So we'll tackle them in bits and pieces as time goes on, so that way we can kind of really focus on others.
And then maybe in the future we'll actually have we'll have a playlist on YouTube specific to this title base.
Yeah, exactly. We will eventually have to kind of try and break that out, really break it down.
Now, what I will say, so pros and cons. Pros. The story minus the animation was good. I enjoyed it. This 15 episode first part of the first series, I guess, it gave you what, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe no, 4, solid 4 different stories in order, chronological order, I will say. What I thought was really awesome, just flat out amazed me, is every minor arc you went through had its own opening and closing credit scene.
Yeah. That is actually something I really did like. And it made me actually at least want to watch it. And it's not like they changed the animation either. They changed the music too.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I noticed the last song was different, but I didn't know if they did that for every little thing, because it was not only new music, a new song even. So the words were unique to this particular thing. And the thing I liked the most about the change is it told you who the focus was going to be.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool. I have a lot more questions than I do answers, but it makes sense since you said that this is only the first third of the first season.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. The animation was there. It kind of,
when they didn't try to flood you with words that were unnecessary, the animation style was good.
Yeah. The only time they try to flood you with words were when you actually couldn't read what they were trying to make you read. So
what I did notice is if you did pause and you did look at the individual frames, they basically told you the entire story that was going to happen. It looked to me like a light novel was storyboarded by a director, and instead of taking out the notes that you would normally have on the storyboard, they kind of just added that into it. And if you have epilepsy, do not watch this. If you suffer from seizure due to bright lights, do not watch this. Because when they flash through those 30 or so frames, the colors are horrible. They clash so bad. Like we're talking neon bright green to blood red to a deep dark blue almost blackish, back to a bright yellow, and it's just goes on and on. And I realize this took a lot of foresight, and I have to appreciate it just because of the planning it took. But each of the main characters had a different sequence of colors in that little 30 frame section.
Yeah, which really made me enjoy it that they were doing that. But
Attention to detail was amazing. But
one thing I have to say is, I don't think that what it made it feel like to me for the words that they were flashing for the sentences and everything like that. Because I did pause it sometimes and I did read it. What it made it felt like, what it made me feel like was that it was more so along the lines of a hint or a glimpse as to what it was like in the light novel.
Okay.
So it was like, instead of him actually going through the thought process, it just like flashed it like as fast as it was going through his head. And that's what I gathered from the wording, is that it's not really meant to be conveyed in a traditional sense. It's like in the novel, I'm pretty sure it's like, these are his thoughts and you get to read it out. And what they did was, instead of him like vocalizing those thoughts because they were rapidly changing all the way throughout, they just showed it as fast as it was going through his head, because it was in the middle of conversations too that they would do that.
See, I thought it was not him going through that. It was somebody else, whoever was opposite of him.
No, because if you actually read it, and if you read it a little later on, you can tell it's definitely him.
Okay, that does make some sense. The character building was decent. The animation style, aside from trying to give me seizures, solid. The story made me want to know what the story before was. And you get like really minor flashbacks. So okay, I realize we're being very vague. The story focuses around this boy who, so to give you guys a little clearer understanding, at least as far as I know or can tell, my interpretation of the whole story is focused around this one guy who was attacked by an apparition, and it, from what I understand, set a sequence of events up that somehow, some way, ran him into other apparitions back to back to back to back to back. And because his, I would almost call it psychotic need to help others,
to say the least,
even at the cost of his own well-being, forces him into situations that I think normal people would say, "No, I'm good, bro. Thanks, though." But I will say it made him kind of like, it was weird because it's almost a harem-like situation he's got going on.
Yeah.
But I feel really weird about it because he meets a lolly who's dead, so I guess you can't really have any.
Okay, so like, I totally understand where you're coming from in terms of the story, but the dude does have a weird obsession with Mayo, Mayoii, Mayoii, or whatever. To where he literally, she's the youngest one, as far as we know, out of the whole group, who's also dead. So her age is permanently middle schooler, and yet
but she's well developed.
Very well developed. He's the also. She is the only one that is actually groped or molested, fondled, anything else by him.
Yeah. And the second time that he does it is intentional. Oh, I almost forgot. Our main character's superpower is he can heal real fast because he used to be a vampire.
It's not that he used to be a vampire or
no?
I mean, like, he technically still is a vampire, and they say this a couple of times. The guy he goes and sees him meme says you could be human completely at any point in time. You just have to give up Shinobu,
who is a child kind of vampire.
Well, it's
that
not
keeps
that.
feeding them?
Again, it's not that she's technically a vampire
No, no.
or a child. She is an adult, but
We
in a
did see
child
her.
form.
We did see her at the very last episode, and
Well, no, you
this is
see
why,
her before that too. I mean, like you
as an
see her.
adult,
Yeah,
though,
yeah. Like she's dying. She's in this sewer or wherever, and so you see her. That's her as an adult.
I thought that was the last episode.
No, they showed it a couple other times throughout.
Oh, okay. So my biggest gripe with that whole scenario, because sadly, I don't maybe I didn't put two and two together, but I don't remember her being an adult before the last episode. But in the last episode, they show a really badass fight scene where our main protagonist is an overpowered something. I assume vampire, because he's tearing apart this beast thing. And then something happens with one of the girls that quote unquote saves him, and he ends up offering himself up to save a vampire, which is why Shinobu is with him, I guess. And if that sounded confusing, because it is.
Well, I don't remember a fight scene between him or anyone else breaking out. He just basically stands there and gets owned by the class president. And he's not fighting. I think you're thinking of the very first episode where he's getting attacked.
I literally just saw it like maybe 2 hours ago. It's like a flashback kind of thing. And he's explaining why he owes so much to her. It's when the class president turns into the cat and is basically draining him of his life. It's like maybe a 10-second flashback of him in combat.
No, he doesn't actually fight, though.
No, he doesn't fight. It's like a memory.
Yeah, no, like I'm saying, they don't fight. Shinobu comes and takes the energy.
I agree. He doesn't fight her, but it's like a flashback of him fighting something because he tears somebody's arm off.
So, much like the anime, amongst everything else, if it doesn't flash back fast enough for you, if it doesn't sit there and make you question what the heck you're watching, you're obviously watching the wrong show.
Yeah. How long did we take trying to find that one maybe 2-second long clip just now?
Longer than I ever care to admit.
I almost felt like I was watching the whole episode all over again for that one fraction of it. Probably could have watched it faster.
It could have. I mean, like the thing that really throws me off about this whole thing is that it flashbacks to several different scenes, and it's not even that it really is trying to really make it a cohesive or coherent story. It just feels like it's wanting to kind of throw you for a loop.
Yeah, flashbacks like that, while they do not happen often in the episodes we watched, it makes me want to watch the other episode that would have come from, because that story looks so much more intriguing than the one we're currently in. The one we're currently in reminds me of kind of a slice of life kind of thing.
Well, I mean, like it is labeled a romance.
That would make sense. And as far as romance goes, like everyone except him seems kind of rapey to me.
I mean,
well, when he's not around the ghost chick.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, he seems pretty rapey to me. In fact, they call him out on it. I mean, like the only thing that's actually.
Oh, they call it a few things. They fourth wall break hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Most definitely. It's.
They even name their own voice actors, saying how talented they are. My voice actor is this talented, and they do a cutscene where they just like flash the credentials of that voice actor, and then our main character goes, "What is this? Some kind of crappy anime?" Yes, it is.
Emphasis on crappy. I mean, all right. A little harsh. It's not crappy.
A little harsh.
It's not crappy.
If you take it as a standalone, and you look at it objectively, it won't be a 4 or any lower than that. Like, you can't. The animation sucked, yes. The story I felt made up for it.
It was good. It was good.
Oh, I can tell how excited you are.
It could have been better. It could have been so much better. So much better.
I liked the fact that every new character added a new apparition, added a new problem, kind of, sort of, you know?
I do. I do.
Lots of nudity that I was not expecting. To be fair, I was expecting no nudity.
Fair enough. I'll allow it. It was
a lot of underage nudity I wasn't expecting either.
A lot of just, so in terms of genre, I would honestly add maybe ecchi to this with the amount of fan service that's actually in it.
Okay. Well, so when we have the cat, the final 5 episodes, the final 4 episodes, there's one episode in the final 5 that breaks character and goes and uses a different female protagonist as being the main character there, the main focus. But while the cat's the main focus, even in the opening credits, you're like, holy cow.
That's why I said ecchi. Fan service.
That would make sense there. They do handle some pretty hard stuff too. The main character's chosen girl, let's call her, the one that kind of forces herself into a relationship with him, rather forces him into a relationship with her. Very annoying way she talks too. Dear Lord.
Yeah.
Says the same thing like 6 times and then circles back to the first thing she said and goes, I'm going to go with this one.
Well,
and
changes the wording just a little bit too.
Yeah, she changes the wording, trying to find. Sorry. She's trying to find the right way to say it. And she's trying to find. So it'd be like, Jack, you and I should go to the park. Go to the park with me. No, that's not quite it. The park, you should take me. No, that's not either. Jack, we should go to the park.
That's what you're settling on?
Yeah, that what we just did, that was exactly what verbatim what's happened.
It is I'm not gonna lie. It was a little weird, a little annoying, but it suited the character's personality. And that's something that I feel like really shined through, is that the character personalities.
Yes, they were very unique. They were not cookie cutter in the slightest. I was expecting one thing, and for instance, so the first person he saves gets attacked by a weight crab or something like that.
Yeah, and it's actually a god, and the reason why she's attacked is because she wanted to unleash or unload the weight of her burdens of the stresses and problems that she had. Well, gave it to her to the T. Did just that.
So when I saw that episode, it reminded me of when I used to go to, there was a church I used to go to where they said, lay your burdens on the Lord. And they took that literally here.
Yeah.
The burdens that she was going through, where her mom joined a cult and unfortunately, she was almost
raped,
assaulted. Yeah. Raped.
Well, just call it for what it was. Raped.
Yeah.
He did try to put hands on her, and the cult
busted his head wide open.
Yeah. Pure and simple. I mean, like, that's how it was. So.
And that's what she wanted to forget.
Yeah. Well, that and the fact that her mom left.
Yeah. But when he does help her, she becomes infatuated with him. And she basically says, hey, you're mine. And that's that. And she introduces herself after he finds out that she's weightless by sticking a razor blade in his mouth.
Yeah, I thought that was really weird too. And then follows it up with a staple. And ultimately, I mean, like, I get why they did that, to kind of build up the suspense, to really show that, like, hey, he's actually not normal too, right at the very beginning.
Yeah, so he's basically immortal, which is one of the reasons why, I mean, let's be honest, aside from having his head chopped off, he recovers quickly from having his hand shattered, his leg, his ankle
But
completely destroyed.
hang on. The only reason why that actually happens is because the vampire Shinobu feeds on him, which in turn gives him a heightened ability. They even
Healing
meme
factor.
even says, "Look, you can die. You are not immortal anymore, and there is such a thing as you being pushed too far. You will die. I mean, like you're not going to heal right away, and you're
Yeah,
not even going
he's
to,
got
be a tenth
he,
of the vampire you were before."
exactly. He said you're only about 1/10 of what you used to be, and even 1/10. Again, he shattered his ankle. The foot twisted around,
Right, but
and in
he
like
didn't heal
30.
up right away. No, they still
No, you're
showed
right.
it.
It
It
took like a
mangled.
minute, literally 60 seconds, and he was standing on it again.
No, he was barely standing on it. He was balancing on one leg because you're forgetting that they still showed it mangled. He just had it hidden behind his back.
Not his arm. I'm talking about his leg when he was standing on it. Because
Well,
the
yeah.
arm took a while. I agree. The arm took a while.
No, the leg, they didn't show him standing on it. They showed him limping and hopping with the one, but they didn't show him actually putting weight on it.
I don't want to go back and look for it.
I
So
know.
I remembered it
Like,
one way, but maybe I
I
was
will give you
distracted.
this right now. They did definitely heal his gut and intestine pretty dang quick, despite the fact
Yeah.
that it got ripped out.
Yeah. And what did you think about the very last episode where the chick licks his neck?
So much blood. So much blood.
Literal geyser of blood just shoots out of his neck and sprays like you would a fire hose.
So much blood everywhere. Just so much blood. He should have been drained.
Oh yeah. Yeah. At the very least, the vampire should have been able to take as much as she wanted with no issues
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is a pretty good solid spot on a scale of up to 10.
We're gonna cut it off just we're gonna cut it off just as much as the anime cut us off too.
Exactly. So, on a scale of up to 10, sir, how would you rate this?
Well, I mean, 10 minutes ago, it would have been a 5 because that's what I was leaning towards. But after we started talking about the more positive aspects of it, if you can call it that, the story development was good. The animation I severely disliked. That takes 2 off the top. You take another one for the attempt on seizures because the color scheme just no. And the final one you take off because it just didn't need at all the extra words. You didn't need to know what style of font the lettering was. You didn't need to know what kind of transition this was. If you use this for educational purposes to try to make your own, 100% recommend. 10/10, they did a phenomenal job of showing everything that you would need on the back end before the product was finally finished. I'm going to go with a 6. I would watch it with somebody else, but I think I'm being generous with my 6.
I think you're being generous too. I'm going with a 4. The reason why I'm
Okay.
going with the 4 is because I didn't like how they had all this extra text, all this extra stuff being thrown at you, and the only way you could actually read it, see it, anything like that is if you actually paused it and went frame by frame to read it.
Now, unless you knew that was going to happen, how do you think they would have got you to go back and look at each individual frame?
There's no way in hell I'm going back. If I'm going to read like that, I'm going to read the damn light novel. I'm not going to freeze it and go frame by frame. All right. There is no way I'm going back. It is good and it is entertaining for what it is. But because of the seizure-esque type of scenes, I got to go with a 4.
I didn't even think about the seizures in my score for the same way you did, because I was thinking that the way that it was going, it's a fantastic marketing ploy that you're going to need to purchase some extra way to view this in order to pause and read all the stuff that's going on. So if the story was good and captivating enough, you'd go out and you'd buy it, give them more money just so you could read something that they, I don't know, hid
Sure.
in plain sight.
Sure. All right.
So,
well,
I know we were talking about next week's episode.
Yeah, and if you were actually part of our Discord, you would have seen in the announcements by Koku, they recommended Shinrei Tantei Yakumo, or Psychic Detective Yakumo, because I butchered that name.
That's why I didn't do it.
But that is actually next week's choice. And we also have another recommendation, too, that we're going to be kind of posting about as well. And Rick and I, we're going to talk a little bit more because we actually got an email from Angel from Facebook who reached out to us, told us, hey, here's a list of shows I really think you guys should check out and watch. So we're going to actually look through them and see which one we actually want to watch next from that list. And then we'll sprinkle the rest of them throughout.
I like it.
So that's all the time that we have for today. Oh, actually, before we go, as you all have noticed, we've had some difficulty with a misunderstanding with a service provider out there who accidentally did a DMCA. Just call it for what it is. And so we got taken out because of that, but we are still posting on YouTube. But also, like we talked about in our last episode, we actually decided to come out with a shirt, Rick's Logic shirt. You should check that out. I'm actually going to have a link for that in the show notes and the description and everything else. Also, in case you hadn't caught on, over Christmas, New Year's, we also came out with a brand new logo and a new look for us to really kind of signify the change and show that we want to grow for you. And so as a result of that, we also have some standard merch. Love for you all to check it out. Let us know what you think of it. Feel free to buy some. It'll help support us because we do have more plans. And also, we now have a Patreon, patreon.com/featured anime podcast. Go there, support us. And we are starting to do some extended recordings now. So you'll get a little bit of the before show conversations that'll be a part of it. So you'll be able to hear a part of our pre-show banter that we usually do for about 20, 30 minutes, sometimes longer.
Most of the time longer.
And that will become a part of your patron exclusive rewards.
To give you an idea, today we were supposed to start, let's say 9 p.m. It's now midnight.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
although I will say we had a good time talking. I did enjoy,
as we always do.
I did enjoy knocking out a few kinks as far as this episode's concerned.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing is you'll hear me complain a lot about computer problems, sound problems, audio problems, everything else. Just all kinds of all pre-show banter and sometimes even maybe some after the show banter. Every once in a while we do chat for a few more minutes afterwards, talk about next week's show, preparation of it, what we're planning on doing and everything else. So
sometimes even the shows that are current going on that caught our eye.
Exactly. So all that's coming. It'll be coming out. Links for all that is going to be in the show notes. It's going to be in the description if you're listening to this on YouTube. And the audio really totally thrown me off. As Rick knows from the pre-show, I am not happy with what's going on. So I apologize for the audio and everything else that's going on right now. But links for all that, for the merch, everything else, it's in the show notes. We did a little pre show in our Discord for the logo, and we're also going to be posting our links for all the merch and everything else, and our Patreon in Discord, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere else. We're going to do a big reveal around that time. And it's all coinciding with the Rick Logic is my logic shirts and sweaters available now. So, with all that said, if you enjoyed this week's show, if you have a recommendation, you want to reach out to us, talk to us, or anything else, feel free to. We are always in the Discord. We're always hanging out in there. Feel free to message us. Leave a comment on YouTube. Email us like Angel did. Message us through Twitter or Facebook. And we would be happy to respond to you, happy to talk to you. Heck, we would even love to get your feedback on how you feel like the show is going. And of course, if you want to support us, please do. It would help us out, and it would help us really take everything to the next level, because we do have a lot of big plans for this podcast. Until next time, I'm Jack.
And I'm Rick, and I'd like to thank you for listening to us in 2020, and hopefully you'll follow us in 2021. Later.